really would have liked to have had a review for Returnal ready to go right now for you, but the fact of the matter is that I just have not been able to finish this game. Not for lack of trying, not for lack of effort, not for lack of time put in, but rather because I'm just not good enough at it. Returnal is a very, very difficult game, and I feel that it would be a disservice to you for me to provide a score based on a game that I've only completed about half of, as far as I know. The fact that I don't know further disqualifies me from actually reviewing the game in its entirety. I haven't seen what I haven't seen, and I don't know how that would affect my opinion of the game overall, so I'll be publishing a full review at a later date once I'm able to complete the game properly. Moreover, I've been told by Sony, who provided a review copy for this video, by the way, that a balance patch is incoming for Returnal, though I'm not aware of what those changes are. They could potentially make the game easier, or they could make it more difficult, which means it might take me a bit longer than I expect to beat the game. But I'll talk about what I've played in Returnal so far, and how I feel about it. Before I continue on with that, though, I want to talk about the technology being used in Returnal, the PS5's unique features, and how they're put to use. Returnal basically takes advantage of every bit of what the PS5 has to offer. The thing that impressed me most, however, was the use of the DualSense's haptics. When I was standing out in the rain, I could feel the rain hitting my suit. It was kind of jaw-dropping. I feel footsteps as I run through the environments. I feel the recoil of gunshots. The use of the DualSense here is a cut above anything I've seen so far, and I was already deeply impressed by games like Astrobot, which I thought used the DualSense to its full potential, though Housemarque seems to have fine-tuned it a bit more, and I'm really, really thrilled with what I see. The other key feature, or probably the most noticeable aspect, is the use of the resistive triggers in the DualSense. Each gun that you have in Returnal has an alternate firing mode, and to use that alternate firing mode, you need to fully push down on the L2 trigger. That doesn't sound like a big deal, but there's resistance built in just about halfway down the trigger, and when you hit that, you'll feel kind of a force that you need to push through, effectively turning the L2 button into two different buttons. It took a little while for me to get used to it, but I really can't get over how cool it is that they've implemented this type of control scheme for this. And if you're wondering about the load times, rest assured that Returnal uses the fast NVMe SSD in the PS5 to its full potential, or at least to very close to its full potential. There are moments where I could tell that the game was trying to load a new scene by having a kind of lengthier than normal transition to a gate opening or something like that, but those are very few and far between, and it's only when you're loading from one biome to another. I'll talk a lot more about biomes in a little bit, but before I do that, let's talk about how Returnal plays. I've talked a lot about the technology, but not about the actual gameplay. Returnal is a really unique mix of a Metroidvania, a roguelite, and potentially a survival horror. And you know what? Throw a little bit of a bullet hell shooter in there too. Why not? It's a very strange sounding combination, but it works incredibly well. I'm actually shocked to be saying that. So there's essentially like a run and gun element to this game. You cannot plant your feet and fight. You have to stay moving, and Celine moves fast at breakneck speeds, really. Every enemy can shoot kind of colored energy projectiles towards you, and you'll see hundreds of them, sometimes even thousands on screen at the same time, and you'll have to dodge between them while returning fire and taking down enemies. It can all be very stressful unless you keep your wits about you and use every one of your abilities to their fullest extent. Celine has a dash that can pass through projectiles, albeit with a 2-second cooldown, so you have to use it at the right moments. You can't just spam it and stay invincible. But I really like this element to the battles because it makes me feel as though everything is skill-based, not that I'm dying out of just pure dumb luck or anything like that. Death is handled really, really well in this game too, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But these fights, you'll often encounter rooms just packed full of enemies. In fact, it's often overwhelming, especially when you're starting out, to find just a room full of enemies that can fire dozens of projectiles at you at once, and you kind of have to keep track of where everyone's at. Fortunately, there's an excellent map in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. Feels a lot like Metroid Prime's in that it's 3D and you have elevation. Touching the touchpad brings up in further detail, though you can't really see enemies on the larger view. But you can see a red marker indicating where each enemy is at in the room, and you can scan the whole room. Once you've cleared out an area, you can explore it. There's items to find. You can find health pickups. You can find artifacts, which will give Celine positive benefits without any downsides to them. You can find parasites, which will give you both a positive and a negative effect, kind of bringing that kind of Hades element into play. And you can find, as well as artifacts and parasites, you can also get consumables, which are just, one-time use items that provide a litany of different effects based on which one you pick up. It's all kind of bog standard for the roguelite type of genre that we're working with here. And that's kind of the biggest connection to Hades that Returnal has. So there are a set number of rooms, and every time you die, you come back, and the rooms have moved around, meaning that the layout of the world is different each run you go on. And you're definitely supposed to have multiple runs through this game. I will be interested to see who the first person is to get through this game without ever dying, because I died pretty quick, and I have a feeling most of the folks that played this game early did the same. And that's okay. Death is woven into the narrative of Returnal. You're supposed to die. In fact, you only get pieces of the story delivered to you through your own dead body. You'll find Celine's corpse laying in various places throughout the world, and you'll need to recover audio logs from her corpse to kind of piece together what has been going on. And I have to say, it's rather unsettling listening to the main character's voice talking about its own impending death, or how it's going to die this time, as Celine becomes slowly aware of the fact that she is in this endless loop of her own demise. Watching herself die, she crashes her ship, the Helios, on a planet called Atropos. And Atropos is kind of I don't want to say a desolate world, but a world in ruins. You never encounter any sentient life, though there are plenty of traces of it having been there. You do occasionally run into, I guess, members of the species that used to inhabit this planet in a much larger way, and they have lost their minds, gone insane, become savage, and they attack. They're not the same people that built a huge civilization on this planet, and we don't know, or at least I haven't yet uncovered what happened on Atropos to make it this way. We don't know what exactly is going on, but Celine is in search of a signal that she believes will help her come home. Now, that is a compelling enough narrative on its own to get me to want to play the game. However, it only gets weirder from there. At various points throughout the game, Celine can find her home, her actual house on this planet. And it's just kind of as though somebody picked it up off Earth and dropped it right on Atropos where she is. And on occasion, Celine can enter the home. And when she does, it's some of the most unsettling stuff I think I've seen in a video game in quite some time. There are just eerie sounds going throughout the house. Celine herself has a sense that while this does resemble her home, it was remanufactured here on this planet because someone or something is trying to communicate with her in some way. And anytime you go in there, there's a lot of creepy sounds. You hear people running around, stomping around above you or behind you, as though there's something following you through this house, but you never see it. And at some point, something invariably causes Celine to lose consciousness, and you wake up outside, sometimes with an item, and you just have to get back on your journey. And I really want to know what's happening here. It's one of the weirdest things that I've encountered, and every time that I see that I'm able to enter that house, I do so with bated breath and with a lot of trepidation because it is scary. And I am not a big scary game person. I played this game with headphones at the request of the folks that sent it to me, and I have to say the 3D audio direction is phenomenal. This is some of the best audio design I think I've heard in a game ever. I can hear some of these monsters coming up behind me. I can hear the disgusting, slimy sounds of what I assume are their mouths. I can hear Celine's feet in the mud. I can hear raindrops hitting various surfaces. It just sounds like you're really there, and that's not something that a coward like me really enjoys. Although I can respect the level of technical expertise it took to make that, and I can respect the level of immersion it gives, because it is truly immersive, and I mean that in a way to say that it absolutely terrified me to play this game with headphones. If you're into spooky stuff, I highly, highly, highly recommend you play it with a pair of headphones, because it is unlike anything I've ever heard in a game. Finally, there are a few other things that I want to mention before I sign off of this pre-review, I guess. Real quick, there is a daily challenge in the ship where you can compete against your friends to get the highest score. This is a great way to earn currencies. There are a few different currencies in the game. One is Obolite, which you don't get to take with you if you die, but it can be used in various places throughout Atropos. You get Ether, which does stay with you and can be used to unlock some really important stuff. You can buy new items with it. You can buy an extra life, in a way, by finding a machine in the world that can basically clone Celine, kind of. Make her return in a specific spot. And you can even use that to cleanse, or I'm sorry, not to cleanse, but to salvage equipment from the dead bodies of your PSN friends who are also playing Returnal. You'll occasionally encounter their corpses within the game, and you can choose to either avenge or scavenge. I have tried to avenge every time, and it has never worked out. I do not recommend it if you only have starter weapons on you, but there's that. When you die, you do get to keep some specific items. So there are key items throughout the game. The ones that I have so far are a sword that I found and a grappling hook, which enables me to travel great distances and kind of explore these maps more vertically, which is definitely interesting. You can find those in the first 2 biomes. There are 6 biomes in the game. I have unlocked 3 so far, and each biome is radically different. The first one is a set of ruins, the second one is a red sand desert, and the third one is a citadel, and that's where I'm at right now in the game. I'm tracing down a signal, and that's kind of the overarching objective that you have, is to locate this signal, which will help Celine get home. I still don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you that so far in my time with Returnal, I am absolutely loving it. I can't recommend it enough to anybody who has a PlayStation 5. Returnal is an essential part of your collection so far. I don't know what the second half of the game holds for me, but I am going to continue playing it until I beat it. And when I find out what is in the balance patch that is coming on day 1, I will be the first to let you know right here on GVG. But for now, I think that's all I've got on Returnal. I'm excited to talk a lot more about it later once I've played some more. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you're interested in Returnal. Let me know if you are going to be picking this up. Just drop a comment down below and give me a piece of your mind. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming to hear a lot more on Returnal and all the other big games coming out this summer. We're fully Patreon funded, so we'd appreciate it if you could take a look at patreon.com/gvgaming to see what we're all about. And aside from that, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.